Good morning and welcome to Member Focus Monday. I'm Christina Schaefer, Director of Social Media for HAR, and I'm excited this morning to be joined by Tracey, the safety lady Hawkins. Welcome back to the program, Tracey.
Hi, Christina. Thank you so much. This makes, 3 or 4 September safety months in a row?
I think so. You're just a regular. And for anyone who doesn't know, of course, September is Realtor Safety Month, and we booked Tracey to be on this program. I think it was back in June or July to make sure that we could get her, because Tracey, as it says in her title, is a safety expert who's bringing her knowledge from all around the country, talking to different realtor associations here to us in Houston. So we're thankful that you could join us and you could make time for us again this year.
And thank you all so much for prioritizing safety for your members.
Absolutely. Well, for anyone who hasn't heard from you before, Tracey, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Here we go. I'll make it brief. You know I'm a talker, but I know how to make it brief. I know we have limited time. I'm a former real estate agent, and I've spent the last 28 years traveling the country. As you can imagine, this is my busy month. I just got back from LA and DC, just everywhere, and I'm not complaining. And I get to, I had the honor of being selected to host the country's only real estate safety podcast, and it's the NAR podcast. It's called Drive with NAR, the safety series. And we have about 3 podcasts out. So please take a look at that. It drops the third Monday of every month. And our first month, we broke records, and the numbers are amazing. So please watch that. I write for REALTOR magazine, RIS Media, Inman, as well as The Clothes. So I have a big platform, and I take it seriously.
Excellent. And obviously a passion for what you're talking about. Your podcast, really quick, they can find that in podcast apps, or is that on YouTube? Where do they find it?
Like they say, everywhere you find your favorite podcast, or you can just simply Google Drive with NAR podcast, and you will see the podcast there. It's on the NAR website.
Great. And once a month, a great episode coming out. So I'm sure people will start signing up to get those soon. So let's talk a little bit about just the why first. Why do you find that realtors are so often targeted as a source of, personal safety in real life, showing up at an open house or following somebody, or maybe even online with, some of the cybersecurity issues?
Being a former real estate agent, having a twin sister who is an agent, we got our licenses together 35 years ago. So she's been in the business forever. I have a ton of friends, and I talk to thousands of agents. So I have some insight here. Agents just don't think anything's going to happen to them, and until it happens. So my job is proactive safety. I am here to say that 99% of the crimes that happen against agents are preventable. So that's why I get up on my soapbox and say, let's talk about ways to prevent those crimes so that I don't have to tell the stories. But I'm big on lessons learned. I'm big on storytelling. And it's male agents as well as female agents. And I wrote an article about male agents and how they just didn't think it happened to them. And it was the #1 article of the year. So it tells me that I need to do more to reach more agents. And the fact that I am not busier speaks to me. And I couldn't figure out why not until I had an education director say, Tracey, your message is important. You're helping us save lives and you're helping us protect consumers and property. She said, but unless you're telling agents how to make more money, they're not going to show up for training. So, and no matter how that sounds, it's reality. So that's why I had to find a way to reach agents to speak their language. So I had to create safety training that teaches agents how to build their business. I've created marketing tools, handouts, teaching them how to reach FSBOs. So I have a safety tip sheet. I tell them staple your business card to that, help the FSBO. But when the FSBO knows what they don't know about how dangerous it could be, then that business card rises to the top. So they're using that as business development. I've created a seller security checklist. So that gives agents an edge during that listening conversation. We're walking through the house talking about how to keep their house safe, their family safe, and no other agents doing that. So we're not talking about money. So Christina, I had to find a way to meet agents where they were. So yes, I had to go directly to the bottom line. And if that's what it takes to help you increase profits, then I'm here for it.
Very good. Well, you mentioned about male realtors being targeted, and I do see just a couple. Mostly the ladies are in the comments right now, but I see Clinton and Syed are both tuned in. So we've got two gentlemen this morning at least that are making safety a priority. So we're happy to have them here. And if there are others, let yourself be known.
I always say kudos to the male agents for showing up. And one thing I do is, again, I tell stories, lessons learned. In the past 3 years, the stories about crimes against agents that made the national news headlines are mostly male agents. It's robbery, carjacking, it's even murder, it's assault, and male agents. When I interview, it's like, why? Why are you all not paying attention? One said, it's the machismo. And I had one say, I'm 6'2", I'm 225 pounds. How many times have I heard that? And then another agent just simply said, we're stupid. I don't believe you're stupid. I just think you're not aware that it's happening to male agents. So everyone be alert and aware. And neighborhood doesn't matter, Christina. Agents who say I only show in the daytime or in the good parts of town. No such thing as a good part of town as long as criminals have cars. And the so-called good parts of town, that's where the good stuff is. So my message is universal. Male agents, female agents, no matter where you work, no matter what time of day it is, you need to be alert and aware. I didn't say afraid, but I said be alert and aware.
Do you think it's also just the misconception that maybe, a male realtor might think, well, they're not coming after me, they're coming after the ladies in my office or something like that too? So you think maybe they're letting their guard down because they just assume they won't be targeted?
That may be part of it, but a gun is a great equalizer. And so male agents are no more armor proof than female agents. And because male agents think it's not going to happen to them, they're easier marks, easier targets. And it's a mindset that I am working hard to get around. All agents need to be alert and aware. And again, during my presentation, I show the slides, I show the stories, the headlines of those crimes just to make it more real for male agents. So everyone needs to be alert and aware and share this with the male agents in your office who did not show up today.
Okay. So there's just so much in this space. We're talking right now about physical safety, but we also know there's a whole online component. What do you think is the biggest threat to realtor safety right now?
The first one is nonchalance. I, of course, get to talk to thousands upon thousands of agents, especially this month, safety month, and I'm winding down. I still have a few more trips. But when agents have that look, that deer in the headlight look, when I'm talking about crimes in big cities, small cities, that tells me that they don't understand how far-reaching it is. So number one is the fact that they don't think it can happen to them. Number two is the lack of training. The second podcast, the Drive Within AR podcast, is with brokers. I had two brokers, one that has about 350 agents, one that has about 50 or so agents. And I'm saying, what are we missing here? Why are agents not getting the training? And they stepped up and they said, we're offering training and we want our fellow brokers to offer training. So training is not required for real estate agents. It's just not. So in that situation, it's like, what can we do to get expert-led training? And I stress the expert-led training because I listen to everything. I'm everywhere, Christina. I am listening to every safety podcast, every interview, any presentation that I can see. I am there. And I hear people talking, but there's not a level of expertise. So that's why I want people to know who I am. I've been doing this 28 years. Someone just told me, she said, you're full-time in focus. And that's what I am. So expert-led training makes a difference. You all agents are very careful with your time, and you're only going to spend time on something is beneficial. So that's why I put the business building in there, and for brokers I put the liability reduction there. So I know that you will, if you come to see me, you're going to get expert information, real life information. So the training, realizing that it's happening, that these crimes are happening. And let me think of three to round it out. And just I don't know, I get passionate about it, and maybe sometimes overly passionate, but I just want agents to know that education can stop 99% of the crimes that are out there.
Okay, very good. So what are some safety threats that you're seeing maybe around the country that could be a threat to Houston area realtors in the near future?
I understand that you all have a scam artist who was recently arrested this summer, who took advantage of 29 victims in real estate scams. And he got sentenced this summer. And so that tells me that I want real estate agents at the table. I want real estate agents to talk to consumers, that's buyers and sellers, about what to watch out for. I have a theme and I call it leading with safety. I want you to be the agent who is saying, this happened in the news. And I think almost everybody's read that. Is what $1.2 million of scams. This con artist was able to convince 29 clients, customers in the real estate space to fork over money to him to invest in real estate. So I want real estate agents to lead with safety, have conversations with sellers, have conversations with buyers, and say there are scam artists out there looking to take advantage of you, and here's what they're doing. So have those conversations, be the expert there. You don't always have to come saying buy or sell. Say, here is a way to educate you. I'm going to talk about artificial intelligence, and everyone by now has heard of ChatGPT, and then its cousins Bard, Bing, and Claude. So I am assuming that everyone is excited about creating content. I know you have upcoming training, excellent training on how to use those tools to build your business. Every agent needs to attend that training, and I know you'll tell them when it is. Everyone needs to, because you're saying, I don't believe in AI, I don't want to do it, it'll go away. It's not going away. So you may as well get on board. My job is to tell you how to use it safely. So take the training, learn how to use it to be productive, but listen to me. There are safe ways to use the tools. One of the things that you're going to learn is how to create content with it. As the safety lady, I'm saying, create safety and security content. We're all told that you need to have content for the consumer, give them information, stay top of mind. Why not make it safety? Have ChatGPT or Bing or Bard create a social media post with safety and security tips, write a safety and security newsletter, home seller safety, personal safety, auto safety, winter safety, whatever it is. You have to keep in mind plagiarism. You can't just copy and paste, and you have to fact check it. And of course, I have training where I go more into detail, but just top of mind, do not copy and paste anything, but use that information to share with consumers how to stay safe and be the agent who's always talking about their safety. And let's see, so AI cybersecurity scams, that's a big deal. These land scams, that's a problem too. So as long as agents know that it's out there and what to expect, that makes a difference, and they're less likely to be advised.
Okay. And as you know, there's a lot of land in Texas. So
I'm telling you, land scams is the big deal everywhere. Everywhere I go, they're land scam stories. So
yes, very good. I just wanted to mention that last Monday, right around this time, we announced that FOREWARN was available to all HAR MLS subscribers. And since then, we've had about 4,000 subscribers sign up. There are some that are still attempting to sign up. And honestly, the biggest issue are those that were already signed up, paying for it on their own, and are going to get switched over to the HAR account. So for anybody tuning in, if you were already paying for FOREWARN, you don't have to do anything. FOREWARN will take care of that for you. But if anyone else is trying to sign up for FOREWARN through HAR and you're having difficulty, just email support@forewarn.com, and we can of course put that in the comments as well. Just wanted to make sure we mentioned that, but we've already had many members sign up for that. Wow. Tracey, and I know you're very familiar with that tool.
Christina, I have had the opportunity to interview a representative from FOREWARN through the years. There's nothing out there like it. We went through a phase where everybody had a safety app, and what does a safety app do? How does it help you? And FOREWARN's kind of the one that stood out and has grown. And for those who don't know, let me just briefly summarize what FOREWARN is. It's a tool that allows you to enter a phone number or an email address, and you will get back a report within, I heard, less than a minute. And what it will do is it will tell you if there are any criminal convictions. So before you show up to show a property to someone you don't know, see if they have a criminal record. And then a lot of times agents don't think about that seller. So we're screening buyers and before we meet them and doing all of that, but then agents will walk into a house for a listing appointment with someone they don't know and lock the door behind them. So I'm saying that tool can let you know who you're working with. It does a financial check. It lets you know if there are any foreclosures or anything that could prevent them from getting financing. So it's a great productivity tool. But back to the criminal check. It will show criminal convictions. And I had an opportunity to talk to the rep. One time we were looking at a story in the news where there had been a perpetrator arrested. He plugged in that perpetrator's name and the list of crimes was long as your arm. And he said if the agent would have had that information, they never would have shown that property. They never would have met them. So use the tool. Keep in mind that all criminals haven't been convicted. So it's not the be all and end all, but what it will do is give you a positive confirmation of who you're meeting. If that's a real phone, a temporary phone, and if it's a temporary phone, you have to think twice about whether or not you really want to meet someone who's using a burner phone. So it's a great tool for your toolbox, along with expert-led training, safe practices. And I commend you all. You've always been on the top of providing technology for your agents. Even you created a tool, even when no other association would do it. And you guys, you're already ahead of the pack in my mind. So good for you for adding Forewarn to the toolbox. Every agent needs to download it. And one thing you need to be sure to do is to do it across the board. You can't just pick and choose who you do it for, who you run a background check on. You have to be very careful that you do it universally across the board to stay out of trouble. Plus, that's the safest way to do it anyway.
Very good. Yes, and as you mentioned, we do have other tools for our members. The Safe Showings app. We also have the Verified User tool in the HAR member portal. You can see more information about all of that on har.com/safety. So, Tracey, what are your biggest concerns regarding cybersecurity and AI as it pertains to realtors?
Yes, both. AI is cybersecurity. Every single one of my cybersecurity classes now involves AI. I have to add AI because AI is allowing cyber criminals to amplify their cyber crimes. Here's what I mean. Agents by now, you know, or you will learn soon that AI will create perfect content. You can prompt it to do whatever you want. So you can prompt it, hey, ChatGPT, please write an email to my current clients letting them know that I am now working, whatever, doing this and this and this. And it will write a perfect email. If you remember, cyber crime would come to us in emails, text messages, online. So now, and typically it was broken English and not well written, and you can spot it a mile away. So you're looking, it's like, no way, that's real. Cyber criminals are using these tools too, and they're prompting it in the voice of a loan officer. Write wire change instructions for the consumer. Make it urgent and give them my contact information, and voila. They've written a perfect wire change email, and they're sending it to the consumers who are looking at this perfectly written email, and they think that it's legitimate. That's why agents, you need to have the conversation with the consumers, that's buyers and sellers, and say, you can't believe what you see, what you hear, and what you read. Deepfakes are taking over, Christina. The video deepfakes, and a deepfake is when a cyber criminal, or anyone, you can do it in a legitimate way, when you put a face on a body and make it say and do things that it didn't say or do. So imagine the broker scam. And so many agents have come to me and said, you know, I got the text message from my broker that I need to send a gift card or gift card information or numbers to them. And then all of a sudden it's amplified because cyber criminals are using deepfake voices. So they're impersonating the voice of the brokers or someone in power and calling agents, calling the accounting department, saying, pay this invoice, send this money. And if agents are not aware that there are voice deepfakes, you're going to fall for it every time. And the video deepfakes and the pictures, you can use tools, not only the ones that I talked about, Midjourney, Canva has AI tools. It's powered by ChatGPT. You can create images, pictures. Cyber criminals are creating beautiful pictures of properties, and they're convincing agents and even consumers, short-term listing, people who are looking for Airbnbs or other places to stay, and they're saying, look at this beautiful property, you know, send me the money off the platform, or I'll give you a discount if you send it directly to me. Those people are getting scammed. So that's why I tell agents, even if you don't believe in AI, which it's here, I don't understand that, but even if you don't think you're going to use it, the consumers are going to be faced with it. It's in the headlines every day. You need to have a conversation and say, hey, you need to be careful. And especially like the land scam, the situation where the guy was arrested, if you're telling them, if you see a property, anyone contacts you about property, I am your real estate agent. Come to me first, and then I will figure out what's real and what's not real. So make yourself a safety and security partner. That's going to help you stand out from the other 49,000 agents here in Houston, as well as the 1.5 million agents nationwide. Be the safety expert.
Love that. So aside from having conversations, you know, being aware of things like, people still fall for the text messages, I assume, and that's why people continue to get them. So being aware of things like deep fakes and stuff like that, what are some other recommendations to realtors that you would make, you know, that might be utilizing AI already in their business?
I first of all, hats off to you because I use it every day. I cannot imagine life without it. Here's what you need to know. There's no such thing as privacy. So any information that you put in these tools is public. We don't know who can see it. We know everyone can see it, not specifically. We know the tools are using the information to learn and to train and to make themselves smarter. So anything you put in there is not private. Be careful when you put the customer's name. If you want to create a beautiful report, here's my customer, here is the address, here's the property information, now like magic, make a pretty report or make a comprehensive report, make a graph, make a chart, and it will do it. Don't put the client information in there, remove it, and then prompt it, and then you can go in and add it later. Business information. Be careful. If you're uploading financials from your company or your organization, it's private. If it's proprietary, you've told the whole world all about your company. Now, the tools are getting smarter. Claude is one that will allow you to upload PDFs. So let's say you have a contract or a big document or booklet even, and you don't have time to read it. You can say, hey, I'm uploading this, summarize it for me, give me the details, and it will do that like magic. But that information is not private. So if it's your financial report, your company financial, it's a no-go. And even like health information, people don't think about this. You have that big health or even insurance policies, homeowner insurance policies, you upload it to get it to summarize all of that technical term, and it will do that. But everybody else can see it too. So just be alert about how to use it. Don't enter personal information. Fact check everything. These tools hallucinate. Another word for hallucinate is lie. So it exaggerates and lies. One thing, Christina, that people are not talking about in their excitement to use the tools are governance policies. And that's where they can get in trouble. So that's like a new class that I'm offering, and I'm excited about that, where I get to tell people that you need to be aware of the information that you're sharing because you need to talk to the consumer. I'm going to use AI in our transaction. Here's how I'm using it. Here is my privacy policy. Here's what the FTC is saying about exaggerating and how when you're sharing information on a property or anything, any public information, here's how you can get in trouble. Be truthful. That's part of your code of ethics. So it's easy for these tools to embellish and make things excited. Calm down. Make sure you're following all of the rules and governance. That's brokers, that's associations. You have to have policies in place if your members are using these tools. You need to know what they're doing if something goes wrong.
So you just mentioned something that I think is really important, having policies in place. So if we're equating this to the days of, or not even because they still exist, but if we're equating this to a broker's policy on how to handle customer, client information, how often we shred documents, there are policies in place for that. It sounds like you believe that brokers, managers, broker owners should be applying policies in this area as well now.
This is a whole new ballgame, Christina. So excellent point about that. With the assistance of artificial intelligence, I have written a handbook for brokers. And part of what I do is, and that's one that when they take the training, and I know I've offered it through HAR before, when they take the training, now I've had to update it because that was so last year. So this year with artificial intelligence, the game has changed. So not only do brokers need to have policies in place when their agents are out here using these tools, especially for work, and there's no one governing them, no one overseeing what they're doing, no one telling them how to use the tools in a safe manner, it's going to get you in trouble. So you must have training for the brokerages, for the leadership, as well as the agents to stay out of trouble. And another thing is standard operating procedures. This is a conversation I want every single agent here to have with your existing clients and your new clients. Hey, I know the artificial intelligence is out there, and then you can get a phishing email and they're coming to you in text messages online. Here's how I'm going to keep you safe. Here is a sheet, my standard operating procedures. If you get an email and they say it's from me, here is my real email address. Look at this sheet. Here is my real phone number. Check this out. And here's who you need to contact. These are the people who are involved in our transaction and their real number and their real email address, because the information's coming at them fast and furious, from so-called lenders and other people in the transaction. As an agent, you are taking this sheet and you are saying, here's what you need to follow to stay safe. So that's just another tool for real estate agents in this day and age of AI to protect the consumer and stand out from the others.
Okay, very good. We have a couple questions that have come in that I want to touch on. Now, we were just talking about some threats that you might be seeing, some different headlines. And to that point, Demetria asked, is there a platform or a place to become aware of various scams? For example, I was not aware of the scammer that was arrested this summer. So is there I would imagine that you're probably posting about this. Are there are there other places that maybe they could be, staying in the know on this?
I have, I've gotten that question so many times. There's not one place where all of the stories are written. I am that resource. That's what I do. That's all that I do. I haven't had a chance to write about that yet, but my Facebook group for real estate safety is called the Safety and Security Source for Real Estate. That is a Facebook group specifically for real estate agents, specifically where I talk about safety training that I offer and the articles and the stories that are out there. And I don't just report the stories. I'm telling you, here's how to avoid having this headline happen to you. Like I said, I haven't written that one yet, but if you join the group, the Safety and Security Source for Real Estate, you will see the other crimes against agents and my tips. And then that one's coming up soon. So I that's a hub. That's all things safety and real estate, tools, anything and everything. That's the hub. And of course, the podcast, that's where I am. And I'm bringing on subject matter experts and your peers, fellow realtors, agents and leading industry experts. No talking heads here. So I am the source.
Great. Have you, Alicia's asking, have you found or seen or found that the Forewarn app has inaccurate information?
Nothing is perfect. And I have heard on occasion stories about some information being inaccurate. As a matter of fact, there was I wrote an article about the top scams in real estate for theclose.com. You're going to get a link at the end, and it's going to talk about all of the scams, the top 7 scams in real estate now. And I just wrote that. And then one broker in Montana did say that Forewarn didn't catch one of the land scams, one of the clients. She ran them through and everything checked out perfectly. And in the land scam, for those of you who don't know, is for someone who says, hey, agent, I have land to list and I want you to sell my property. And of course, they're not the real owners, but property has been sold right from under real owners. So agents need to be alert and aware, and you need to tell all of your land clients, even just anyone in your area who owns land, if you ever, you need to talk to me because these scammers are coming hard. And the seller's usually the last to know, or the landowner's the last to know. So if real estate agents are plugged in, they will know. But I did hear a story about one person who checked out through Forewarn, or let's say this, they weren't stopped through Forewarn. That's why I say Forewarn is a tool. Forewarn is designed to do specific things, and that is to confirm an identity, to let you know if that phone number really belongs to that person, or to alert you if it doesn't, and also to provide financial information. But for the most part, Forewarn is what I have found is the best in the business because there's no one else competing, and they don't rest on their laurels. And I sound like a Forewarn girl, but I have to share tools that I know actually work. So that's a tool in your toolbox, not the only tool. So you are checking them out using Google, using other tools, and you're doing your homework, picking up the phone, making phone calls. So you still have to do work too, but Forewarn sure makes it easier.
Very good. Thank you. Another question really quick. Whitney was asking, where can we get the broker procedures on safety?
2 things that I've done. One is I have a broker manager owner certification class. It's an office safety policy class that I've, again, done with you all. It's a CE class, so brokers earn CE credit and they also get certified. And part of that class is that brokers handbook, policies and procedures manual. So I know everyone can take that class. So what I did is I wrote a little brief ebook. It's not the procedure manual, but it's a brief ebook. You will have the list at the end, and it will talk to you about how, the link at the end, it will talk to you how from the brokerage standpoint, you need to get procedures in place. It's not going to be as detailed as the class, but it's a starting point. And then there is another booklet for everyone, and it's an ebook on using AI and cybersecurity. So there are 2 books. So if you request it, then you're on my list, and everything going forward, you will get information on the upcoming training and the tools that I am creating for you all.
Very good. And people were asking for the link to your Facebook group, and we did share the direct link to the group so people can go join that group. Just a comment I wanted to highlight from Mike Wong. He was actually a guest on our show last week, and he is the chair of our safety task force at HAR. And he just said, Tracey is sharing some great tips about how scams are rapidly evolving. This is why it's important to stay ahead of them by having conversations and training in our industry. Thank you, Tracey.
And let me say thank you to Mike. I did check him out. I told you I'm everywhere. And Mike speaks with expertise and authority. So that's why I admire you at Houston Association of Realtors, that you identify true subject matter experts. So Mike, good for you for doing what you're doing, helping keep the industry safe. Look at me thanking everyone like it's my responsibility, but I admire other subject matter experts.
Absolutely. So I did ask Mike this question, but I'd love to hear your take on it. Just what are your top safety tips for Houston area realtors?
Number one, be in the know. That means knowing stories about the scam that I'm talking about. Be in the know. Be the agent who can say, hey, consumers, here's what's going on out there. It's in the news headlines. Let me offer you some information to keep you safe. So get right out in front of it. Number two, education. I can't say that enough. How many agents will line up around the block for training on how to make better videos, how to create more content, social media strategies? Put safety on that list. Get on board. And what I'm saying is safety doesn't have to be boring. Get expert safety that also helps you increase your productivity. That's what I had to marry the two. So education is key. And third, understand that it's out there. AI is out there. Scammers are out there. So you need to do whatever it takes to stay safe, embedded in your business. I know you're busy. I know it's competitive out there, but you need to get on board and protect not only yourself, but the consumers too. That's the buyers and the sellers, even FISBOs.
Excellent. So aside from Forewarn, what other resources, and we've shared a few, but are there any other resources we haven't mentioned yet today that you want to suggest to Houston area realtors?
That's a good question, because usually Forewarn's at the top of the list. Here's what you do need to know. When I talk cybersecurity, of course, AI is cybersecurity now, and it's amplified. Everyone needs to back up their information. I'm sure everyone heard about the Rapatoni MLS security breach. It can happen to everyone, and that's just the one that made the news headlines. It's out there. Organizations and companies are having security breaches, and I got the opportunity. I was at the California Association of Realtors annual conference, and I got the opportunity to stop by the Rapatoni booth, and I said, if you can tell the industry any safety information, safety tips, what would you tell them? He said, tell them to tighten up. That means there are safety and security protocols. That means you're using passphrases, not necessarily passwords. Someone asked, how do we save those? Because it has to be different for everyone. Your browser, your Chrome browser is a great place. It's a secure place. Nothing is 100%. That's a way to save your passwords so that you're not reusing the same passwords. I'm going to give you a homework assignment before we leave to make sure your information is safe. The second one is have an antivirus program. But keep in mind, the cybercrime is a people problem. Your devices don't infect themselves. Your devices don't download malware and viruses on their own. It's us. It's a people problem. It takes you to do something. Antivirus, Avast, A-V-A-S-T, is a great tool. I got it from an IT professional. I have it on all of my devices, and I haven't had a virus since. You still need to be careful, but back up your information is another one. MLS, the Rapatoni people will tell you, if you don't have a backup, you're out of business. So you're struggling trying to find a way to stay in business. If you have a backup, and Carbonite is a great tool. It's a cloud backup system. Back up your information, so if someone does breach your information, you are still in business. You can still continue to work because you have that information there. But the goal is to be proactive so that you're not in that situation. So those are some of the tools that agents need. I'd say password. Two-factor authentication. I can't stress that enough. If you sign onto a device, you need to get a message that says you have to look at your other device to get a code to sign on here. It seems like an extra step, but cyber criminals don't have access to that. So set up two-factor authentication, and that will help. Another way to protect yourself. And finally, no free emails. No free emails for business, and Gmail is the worst. Those are the most hacked ones. Hotmail, any of those free email services are easier to hack. Use your brokerage's email account. Use the domain email, because cyber criminals look at those and they think, oh, a real estate broker definitely has IT security protocols in place, and you better have them in place. But these free email accounts are, it's the wild, wild west. Agents are doing this and that, sharing information. Brokers need to step in and insist that you use the protected domain emails. And then finally, invest in cybersecurity training upfront, because you're thinking, we've been lucky so far, nothing's happened. When something happens, you're going to pay to get it fixed, and then your reputation, you have to convince the consumers to trust you again. So I'm the proactive girl. Get that training in place. It does not have to be boring. It doesn't have to take a long time, but make it expert-led training, not just anyone who says I can do it. Check out their credentials.
Very good. A question that came in actually from Mike. Does Tracey have any recommendations for a distress signal app?
Mike, let's talk about that for a minute here. There are a few distress signal apps that have been on the market, but let me talk to you about my problem with them and then another solution. A distress signal app is an app that you push when you're in trouble. So you're with a client, it could be someone new, open house, and then you realize, hey, I'm in trouble, and you push that distress signal, and it's going to send a message out to your contact list saying, hey, I'm in trouble, I'm in danger, here's my GPS location. My problem with that is that it's too late. The crime is in progress. You're pushing that signal saying, I'm in trouble right now. The odds of the person actually having their phone and saying, oh, my sister, cousin, friend, whatever is in distress, let me get help to them, it's almost too late. So those apps have a place, but they're not the be all end all for that very reason. You're simply sending them to a crime scene. I say be proactive. One thing that I like is Google Maps. Almost everyone here uses Google Maps. You use a Google Calendar. So a Google Calendar can be shared. Let someone have access to your calendar so they know who you're showing, the time you're showing, and the address. Google Maps helps you take it a step further. With Google Maps, you can share your location information with someone in your contact list. So put someone on alert. I'm going to be showing so-and-so from whatever time, and you can check in on my location. So at any time, they can check in and see exactly where you are. They can use Street View if they don't hear from you, so they can see the actual physical property, so they can actually see where you are. The important thing is letting them know how long you're going to be there and who you're with, and to have a check-in so that if you don't answer or respond in a certain time, they can look and see what's going on and text you. And if you don't respond, they can send help. So that is a way to be proactive, to share your location. You can limit how long someone can see your location. I had an agent, she said, I leave it on 365 days of the year. My husband and son, they can find me at any time. Then I had an agent, he said, I don't want my wife to know where I am all the time. He said, because I may be coughing and she may think I'm working. So you can control how long you share your your location information. But that's a great question, Mike. So I say a distress signal app needs to be on the list. Life 360 is the one I hear a lot of real estate agents use through the years. And it's a free app, and it allows you to tell your circle, certain circles, your work circle, your family circle. You can look at my location in real time at any time, and they can look and see where you are. Same thing with Google Maps, but it also has a safety feature. And then you have the Safe Showings app, and that allows you to take a picture of whoever you're going to be meeting with, and you send that picture. Don't just take a picture and leave it on the camera. You send that picture to someone, and then it lets them know who you're with, and you can make that part of your protocol. Hey, buyer, hey, seller. Our safety protocol means that I need to get this information, either a copy of your ID, but a picture is better. So let me just do that really quick and get that to my office. So that should be a part of your safety protocol.
Very good. And somebody just mentioned, Maria just said Life 360 is not free. So I guess there is a fee for it, but I do want to mention the Safe Showings app that Tracey just mentioned is available to all HAR members at no charge. So take advantage of these tools in your toolbox, as Tracey says, especially the ones that are being provided to you by HAR. So yes, ma'am.
Let me correct. Life 360 does have a free version. Like anything, there's a free version, and then you can pay for more coverage.
There we go.
So it's another free tool.
Okay, very good. So we've discussed a lot today, Tracey, but what are some of maybe the top takeaways that you want really to stick with our members as we move from this conversation?
Safety Month, September Safety Month is just a starting point. This is not just the time, oh, now we've done our training, let's go on with life. You need to reinforce it on a regular basis. So that's something that I do. Of course, the stories, the articles. So get engaged, know the stories that are out there so that you can know what's happening to your peers, big cities, small towns, everywhere. Daylight, nighttime, just know what's happening. And here's the way I explain it. I share the story so that you learn the lesson from them. Mm-hmm. And I'm not doing it to scare you, but if a neighbor had a burglary or a break-in, you would want your neighbor to tell you so that you can batten down the hatches. You can increase your security because you know there is a criminal in the neighborhood. So you're going to act differently. So by sharing stories, you'll know what is happening to real estate agents around you, just like you, and then you will do what it takes to avoid that. In the first episode of the podcast, Christina, I have an agent on, Nina Weissman, who was raped while showing. She decided to come forward and to share her story. She talked about how her gut told her something was wrong, but because she needed that cell, and because she knew that if she didn't show them, that another agent would show them, she wanted to tell them to come and let's meet first, but she knew that if she didn't do that, that he would call another agent and they would do it. So because she needed that cell so badly, she showed up, and unfortunately she was raped. She is still in recovery, and she is sharing her story now to keep other agents from being in that situation. So know the stories. Again, the podcast, me, I'm your resource. Know the stories. Take education seriously. Don't wait for something to happen and then all of a sudden you want to talk to Tracey, the safety lady, or Mike, or whoever provides your safety training. Make it a part of your business development training, just like your social media. You're creating a video, make it a part of the training that is necessary. And I say that to the leadership, to your brokers and owners, because if something happens to your agents, you don't want to be on the other side of a lawsuit. And if something happens to the agent using the AI or any tool, you're going to be on the other side. So let's prevent it.
Very good. So I know you have a few other resources you wanted to mention to our members today.
I wrote a book, the Cybersecurity book, and that is free for all of you today. You're going to get the link, or you have the link. Download that book. It's like 13 pages. That's a starting point that you can share with every single agent in your office, your fellow agents. Everybody should have that book. And I use one of the tools, Bing, to create a coloring book for my grandkids. They're on social media all the time, and no one's really having a conversation with how to be safe. So I use Bing, and we made a coloring book. So I'm making it fun. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I'm working on a workbook for real estate agents. And one thing to wrap up with, Christina, is the governance is like a really big deal that no one's talking about. A risk assessment is the most important part of it. I have created a governance toolkit. So that's something that's coming soon. So if you request any of these tools that I provided for you all for free, then download it. You're on my list. You will be the first to know. But all leadership, every single leadership association, board, real estate company needs to get governance policies in place now for how these tools are used. Make sure your agents know what the dangers are, how to keep you safe, how to reduce liabilities. But let's start with the risk assessment.
Excellent. Well, people are thanking you for the great information and the wonderful tips in the comments. Val commented, every HAR member should be on this. Thank you, Tracey. Safety should always be our number one focus. And I could not agree more.
Wonderful. Okay,
Absolutely.
Well, thank you all so much. And Christina, thank you and the HER leadership for doing what you do to keep your members safe. You guys are top of mind. Thank you, everybody.
Before we go, I did want to mention that next week we will be joined by leaders from the local NAREP groups to discuss home ownership rates for the fastest growing segment of the population in the Houston area as we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. So be sure to tune in next Monday at 9 a.m. for that. And again, Tracey, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Have a great week, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.